The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. There we go. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock. If you miss an episode, you can always catch me on Spotify, catch me on Apple. If you're out of the area, you can live stream me. And you can always go to the mainstreetcode.com and find past episodes. And when we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. And we work with hundreds of advisors across the United States, including attorneys and CPAs and other professionals with regards to life insurance, annuities, disability, long-term care, and life settlements. And we're completely independent. We represent 30 different insurance companies, and we try and find a solution that works for you, not a product that fits you. You know, we fit you to what the solution is, not product. It's not about product. It's about doing the right thing. And today we have a very special guest, Jackie Cara. Hi, Jackie. Say hello.
Hi, Neil. It's nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
So, Jackie, tell us about your business, where you're located, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Sure. So I founded Cara Law. We're a full-service estate planning firm. That's what I call it. And we're located in Garden City, New York. I've been doing this for about 25 years, and I don't want to add any time to that. You know, eventually it'll be 30 and 35 years, and I'll just keep saying 25 years.
Oh, that's awesome. I couldn't imagine you doing this for 25 years. You look too young to be doing that.
That's exactly what I was looking for you to say. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, anyhow, I read something on your website. I thought it was very interesting about trusts. And people think, oh, you got to be, mega wealthy to have a trust. But if you don't have a trust, what did it say? Something about the courts will decide?
Yes. So what I always say to people about any kind of estate planning, whether it's Medicaid planning or powers of attorney, healthcare proxies, special needs planning for your children, if you don't make decisions, somebody else will.
Right.
Decisions will have to be made, and you can choose to make them on your own with planning, or you can leave them up to a court.
Right. And leaving them up to a court, oh, great, they know what to do, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, first, though, you have to get a court appointment, right? How long does that take?
Oh, it could take months, sometimes longer than that. But yeah, it takes a while. It's not immediate.
Right. And then you have other people to deal with.
That's right. So the court appoints other people, depending on what we're talking about. So we're talking about a guardianship proceeding, which happens a lot. It's a big part of my practice is guardianship work. But if we're talking about a guardianship proceeding for a parent who maybe now has dementia or is incapacitated and they did no planning, there's no power of attorney, there's no healthcare proxy, the kids need to take care of them. We need to go to court to get the kids' permission to do that. And so that is very costly. It's very time consuming. And the court appoints other people now to get involved in your family.
Oh, it's crazy. And then sometimes somebody will pass away, and while they're deciding what to do with the house and everything else, maybe you have a couple siblings or whatever else, it's in court, but they still got to pay for the oil and they still got to pay the mortgage, and sometimes it drains people, and they got to pay the attorneys, and it can be a very costly venture if you don't do proper planning.
Oh, absolutely. So that's the other thing I tell people about. I do a lot of revocable trusts in New York. Probate takes a long time, and it's fairly complicated. So I recommend revocable trusts for a lot of people. Primarily, put the house in it. And that's exactly what I tell them. I said, the biggest complaint I hear about probate is now mom and dad have died. We have mom and dad's house, still needs oil, still needs the lawn mowed, still needs the taxes paid. And we're a year in probate court trying to get permission to sell it.
Even if you want to sell it and that's your goal, or you want to live it, whatever you want to do, you still got to maintain it. And it's very, very costly,
Yes.
And you could have your own children and your own houses and everything else. Another thing that comes up a lot, and it came up again this week, where somebody's spouse died. They died like 3 weeks later.
Okay.
Or a month later. Or it could be years later. But they never changed the beneficiaries on their pensions, on their annuities. So their spouse was to get everything, and now they never changed the beneficiaries. So what happens now?
Probate.
Why?
People don't realize that. If you don't have a backup beneficiary, those assets now become probate assets. And the court is going to, if you have a will, the court will likely appoint your executor, but you still need to go to court and then distribute those assets according to what your will says. If you have no will, somebody will go to court. The court will appoint somebody to administer those assets, and they'll pass according to statute. So again, that's...
So how often does that happen?
It happens. It happens with some frequency.
With
some frequency.
The time?
I think people have a lot of misconceptions about how this stuff works.
Right.
They think if I have a will, I don't need probate, and that's wrong.
Right.
They think, well, I have a beneficiary, so I don't need to do anything else, but they need to be updated. I had a terrible case not long ago with a woman whose husband died young family with little kids.
Right.
And he had a union job, and he started working at 19, filled out all his beneficiary designations long before his wife and kids existed. And he named his brother as his beneficiary. And then he didn't update anything, and he died. It
happens.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And, I just became a grandpa.
I know. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's nice. My daughter was asking me, and her husband, we were talking in the car about, if something happens to us, we need to establish, guardianship for our baby.
That's right.
And, okay, who would you think? And we had this discussion, which I was very glad they brought it up.
Yes. It's always better when it's their idea.
No, it's, of course, I'm in the business. So, it's something I would think about. Right. But it was really good that they brought it up, and they're thinking about that. And they definitely have a clear idea of who that would be. And I'm very happy about it. Because what happens if they didn't? Okay. He has 2 sets of parents, plus us, plus a million cousins and uncles and whatever between them. And they both came to the same conclusion, which I'm very happy with. But if you don't, boy, what happens?
Yeah, that's a mess. So if you don't, right, this goes back to the original premise, the first thing we talked about. If you don't decide, somebody else will.
Right.
So a guardian will need to be appointed. There will need to be somebody in charge of whatever money is left behind for the child. That guardian will be appointed by the court. Someone in the family will decide to go to court to do that. And now you just described it perfectly, right? 2 sets of parents, you and your wife. There's a lot of people interested in taking care of that baby, and they may not all agree on who should be the decision maker.
They may not even get along.
Exactly. And now you have 3 sets of parents arguing over who should be the guardian of this child.
Right. Not good. And court is very expensive.
Yes.
It's very frustrating. If you were friends with people, all of a sudden you're not friends with people. And I tell this, I'm one of 5 boys. And one of the things, luckily, we all get along. And we've had some family experience. Everybody is amicable until money's involved or until things are involved. And you may not think something is meaningful to your sibling.
That's right.
But it's meaningful to you, and it could create a lot of friction. And nobody wants to leave their family in a position where there's friction. So Another thing that you advocate for, and I advocate for when we talk about all that, is family planning.
Yes.
You really want to get the family engaged in doing any type of planning whatsoever.
So important.
And boy, we're running out of time. We have to come to break. How do people get a hold of you? What's the best way?
My phone number is 516-217-9200. I have a website, www.jackiecaralaw.com.
And my name is Neil Himmelstein, and we're going to be right back after a break. Best way to reach me, 631-647-4694. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm with a special guest, Jackie Cara. Say hello, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Neil. Thanks for having me.
I like that. That's good. Hi, Jackie. Say hi, Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Okay, that was good. I like that. Anyhow, I was working with some people this week, and people don't realize when they have annuities and life insurance, it doesn't go by will. It doesn't go by probate. It goes by contract.
That's right.
So no matter what you put in your will, that life insurance goes by life insurance. Now, these people I'm working with had a bunch of annuities, and they had IRAs that were annuities, and some of them had like 5 or 6 beneficiaries. So it gets a little tricky.
It does.
Because you have all these different beneficiaries, and I believe it's my obligation to reach out to all the beneficiaries directly and say, hey, here's how this works. Because one thing with IRAs, you don't want to take it as a lump sum.
That's right.
Why?
Well, tax burdens.
Right.
Nobody wants to pay taxes they don't have to pay.
100% taxable. And there used to be a provision called a stretch IRA, which is no longer there with the Secure Act 2.0. You now have to take payments over 10 years.
That's right.
So we like to do it by transfer to an annuity that will pay out over 10 years so that we can keep you well with the tax thing. So anyhow, I was just going over that with a client yesterday, and it was like going through this and dealing with insurance companies. And we called an insurance company. I swear to goodness, I wasn't sure of all the beneficiaries on the contract. And it was actually an agent who wrote it on himself. And we got directed to the Philippines. I was with the client's beneficiary, the daughter. And we called the Philippines, or wherever it was, and said, oh, we can't talk to you. You're not the agent on the record. I said, well, he passed away. That's why we're calling you. Well, sorry, we can't talk to you. You're not the agent on record. I go, he passed away. I'm the general agent of the contract. You can talk to me. But this is the kind of runaround if you do it yourself.
Yes.
So you need professionals. You need professional attorneys. You need professional accountants. You need professional insurance people. When you're dealing in trusts and when you're dealing with wills, please do not do it yourself.
Oh, goodness. Yes. I have. So I get a number of phone calls. You might get the same thing. Now, with the advent of online legal services and now AI and ChatGPT, people calling me and asking me to review what they've written online.
Oh, geez.
And yeah, it's not good.
Oh, everybody's an expert.
Everybody's an expert, and everybody really thinks it's just that easy to print it out.
So in New York State, one of the interesting things is that you don't need to file a will with the state.
That's right.
So wills get lost.
They do.
You do it online, and it's not notarized. Now, in New York, it has to be notarized, correct?
And witnessed.
And witnessed.
And supervised by an attorney.
And supervised by an attorney?
Supervised by an attorney also.
So, Joe Smith, he did it online, LegalZoom.com, whatever. Okay, I'm good. And
he had his kids witness it.
His kids witnessed it. Wasn't notarized. No good.
No bueno.
So take the time to do it right and hire somebody like Jackie, because guess what? You mess it up, you can mess up your kids' lives and force a lot of taxes, a lot of probate. in this situation, this gentleman had quite a bit of money. And he did a will and he did a trust 10 years ago. He refused to pay again to update anything. So now we got a mess.
Yes.
So, and in his situation, he kept funding his retirement at 75 and 76. He kept putting money away. And I was telling him at the time, you know, it's kind of silly because your beneficiaries are going to have to pay the tax on this. And you're going to force distribution. So in talking to the client and everything else, a couple of their children are autistic and have special needs. Now, what happens if one of the children was to receive an IRA who's on special needs? What happens?
So it's very important. A big part of my practice is special needs planning. I have special needs children. That's sort of how I started my practice. So it's so important for parents to understand what happens when a special needs child inherits money, however they inherit it, because depending upon what their needs are, they may be receiving lifelong benefits that you can't buy with money. Like so many of the special needs benefits you actually have to qualify for, and you can't purchase them on the marketplace.
Right.
So it's so important for parents of special needs children or young adults or, you know, to work that into their planning and set up special needs or supplemental needs trusts within their plan. So any money that goes to that child goes into that secure trust for the child's benefit and doesn't go into their pocket, which can throw them off of benefits that might be providing medical care and housing and supportive services. All kinds of things.
So we find a lot of people semi-understand it and they listen to you and then they forget and blah, blah, blah. And oftentimes, maybe they don't have a lot of assets, but they have a house,
right?
And they want their kid to have the house. They have 3 kids, and maybe their special needs child's living in the house, and they just leave the house to my children. They do a basic will, and they leave the house, and they don't set up the special needs trust. So now the ownership of that house sets the third child up, they're off special needs.
They could be. That's right. Their children, right now, the children inheriting the money, the 2 children without special needs would have to do a lot of fancy footwork.
Right.
To get guardianship and set up the trust so the child doesn't receive the asset into their name.
Well, and after the fact, it's very hard to do.
It's very hard to do. It's very hard to know that's what you have to do, is really what the problem is.
Right. So from my aspect, what I advocate for and what I tell people to do is, okay, you want to treat your children equally and you want to leave them something. One of the best assets you can leave is life insurance inside a special needs trust.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what I tell so many of my clients who think they don't have the money to support this child for the rest of their life. And I say life insurance.
Right.
It's the magic key.
You can leverage a few dollars today for future dollars tomorrow. That's what the basics of what life insurance is. And by putting it inside the trust and having the trust be the beneficiary of that, it falls outside your estate.
That's right.
And doesn't affect any of the other benefits that your child may be receiving. And special needs does not have to be a child, by the way. It could be an older person that needs a special needs trust.
Of course, yes.
Maybe they're in a long-term care facility. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're utilizing other assets. So it's not just for children. See,
I think as a parent, you probably now you have your first grandchild. You might fall into the same category. They're always going to be our children.
Correct.
And we talk about them in terms of being children, but they become adults, so they're not necessarily still under the age of 18. But yes, at all phases of life, people with special needs, people who have traumatic brain injuries or terrible accidents or illnesses later in life can benefit from this type of planning so they don't use the benefits that are supporting them.
Right. So even if you're not a parent, but maybe you're a parent, but your kids are grown, and you become a grandparent, and you think you want to do the greatest thing, I want to take care of my grandchild. Mm-hmm. You really need to talk to the parents about taking care of your grandchild the right way, mm-hmm. because quite possibly you could be upsetting your whole not only your estate, your children's estate, and your grandchildren's estate by doing poor planning, even though you want to do the right thing.
That's right.
And that's why you call people like Jackie to take care of that.
Yes.
So, Jackie, I can't believe it, but we're running out of time. So how can people get a hold of you and talk about this further?
So my firm is Cara Law. The phone number is 516-217-9200. And our website is www.jackiecaralaw.com.
And you do wills, trusts, probate, special needs.
Yes, elder law, Medicaid planning, asset protection, and guardianship.
Fantastic. And this is Neil Himmelstein, and I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock. Best way to reach me is 631-647-4694. If you have any questions, any problems, or you have any planning needs for you, for your parents, for your children, give me a call. 631-647-4694. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.